by the MC here at the Yoyogi National Gymnasium. Always an opportunity for us to keep a bit quiet here because it honestly is so loud. It's very difficult to talk over this noise level here, so just let the atmosphere sink in while we're waiting for the players to set up for the first match.
I'm sorry, Seb, what was that?
Exactly.
There you can see Elizabeta Samara, the top seed from Romania, 24th ranked player in the world, 26th ranked player in the world. She's going to be facing off against Mengyu from Singapore, who comes in ranked number 18. So 18 versus 26. This should be a neck-and-neck battle. Style matchup's going to be very interesting. And Elizabeta Samara, the lefty, great power, great off-the-table play. She's not afraid to counter-loop from anywhere on the court.
6-3, 6 victories, 3 losses for Elizabeta Samara, and a sensational 6-0 so far for Mengyu. So she comes in on fire, but we've said it, for Romania, it's do or die. They're the underdog here, and they will want to be playing in the semi-finals tomorrow, so they'll be giving it all and fighting till the last point.
Both players pretty close in age. Samara coming in at 25 years old and Mengyu 24. The level of experience internationally as players is also very close, so they're both going to be able to adjust their games quickly, take the words of their coaches and apply them quickly between games. We'll see a lot of adaptable play and probably very aggressive, but also very strategic play on placement, serve and attack, receive. This game should be a very tactical pleasure to watch for everybody.
Absolutely. And just to everyone tuning in here from all over the world, if you want to participate in today's broadcast, just ask us a question on Twitter. Use the handle at ITTF World and then the hashtag #TTokyo2014. Ask us some questions and we'll do our best to answer them on the air here. While we see Elizabeta Samara, some of her stats here. Round 16 at the Olympics in 2012, that is already not a bad thing. As you said, very energetic, a fighter, left-handed player.
As far as fighting spirit goes, Romania has plenty of that to go around. You'll be seeing fist pumps, a bunch of screaming, a whole lot of heart coming from that team. And Singapore, very strong players. We've had some big wins for Singapore in the past. In 2010, took down China in the finals to be the world champions. That was one of the biggest upsets in modern history for women's table tennis. So they're a very dangerous team, and coming out here, they have a lot to live up to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a game for the history books, that finals. We see Mengyu here, around 16 at the World Championships 2009 in Yokohama. Part of the Chinese team, by the way, was the then very young Liu Shiwen and Ding Ning, who are surprisingly still in the Chinese national team and obviously have learned from their mistake back then. Stronger than ever, still going strong in this tournament, and we're looking for one of the possible opponents for China in a semi-finals match. It's a best of 5, ladies and gentlemen. First point of the serve of Mengyu.
Excellent third ball attack. A little bit of topspin with the wrist there, pops the ball up for a great third ball opportunity, and Mengyu takes the first game. Point, that is. That would have been a fast first game.
Exactly, fastest ever probably.
Nice heavy push there. Yu takes the first 2 serves and points. Samara now serving to even things up. Nice pressure on the receive. Yu putting it back into the body of Samara, forcing her to make a quick decision. A little bit of uncomfortable shot there off the top of the net and long. Rip of an opening backhand. This time she was in the right spot, settled in, and just unloaded with that third ball backhand attack.
Crucial for her to score a point here. Not to let the opponent out of her sight. 4-0. Can be already considered a comfortable lead for Mengyu.
Light push, little deep on the table, light spin. Yu overcompensating and lifting it out of court. Excellent placement. She had Samara on her heels backing up. Very tough to go side to side as you're backing up on the defense. Little bit high on that receive. Both players have strong wings on each side. Receives are going to have to be very tight along with the serves.
So far we've been seeing a lot of short rallies, which is not unusual in the starting stages of the first game. Both players try to find the rhythm. As you see here, once again, third ball attack. Elizabeta, Samara. Mengyu completely misjudging the spin on the serve.
The first reverse pendulum we've seen from Samara. Again, service game. The receive's very important here. Tricky serves, very deceptive. Shortest points in all the matches I've seen so far this tournament.
8 points played. Under 5 minutes, you might be right. Oh, that was well done. Instinctively put that down the line, saw the side was opening up. Elizabeta Samara with the lead here, 5-4. I would usually say losing the first game, well, obviously no one ever wants to lose the first game, but still it is manageable in a best of 7. But it's a completely different story in a best of 5, actually. You have very little room for error.
And as far as room for error, you can see here, Samara gets a very spinny ball deep on the table, a little flat right off the bounce. She's going to have to do a little bit more spin, maybe play a little bit more cautious for placement in that shot. There is a lot of pressure to deliver powerful shots, though. Her opponent is very strong, so maybe cautious isn't the right word, but definitely play for spin and placement. These shots are very ambitious right now, and she's missed the last 2 forehand attacks.
Once again serving for the win. 6-0. First big point of today's match.
I think as we settle into the game here, we're going to start seeing some longer rallies. Maybe it'll be game 2 as players adjust to the serve, the receive, start opening up. There's a lot of quick desire to win the point right away from both players. And the receive, Samara trying to finish it immediately, going for the over-the-table flip. Good placement of the serve, middle backhand side. Very nice soft touch by both players, keeping it in towards the net. Yu taking the initiative here.
Well, it was the first time actually Elizabeta Samara was taking things a bit slower, which worked out in this instance.
Nice change of pace, showing some experience and wisdom on the table. Very soft receive, excellent placement by Yu of Singapore. You could see Samara was not expecting that ball to stay on the table. Lead service, we saw the reverse pendulum again. The opening backhand for Samara has been the most effective shot she's had this game. Very powerful, very spinny. Wouldn't surprise me if we see her step in after reverse again.
There you go, messed up the timing though on the 5th shot. That is understandable as it touched the net, we see here. Bit of a weird bounce. Mengyu apologizing for her good fortune, and she's up at the business end of the first game with 9-7.
Change of pace again. She slowed it down a little bit, spun it to the middle of the table. Now it's a 1-point game. Samara just trailing. Deep serve, nice placement. The bounce right on the line. just jamming Samara. Very uncomfortable forehand shot. Does not look like she was expecting this serve.
That was difficult to see for Samara as well. She was expecting half long or short serve. Effective serve movement from Mengyu. And it's 2 game points for the 24-year-old.
Right idea, she got the opening backhand, but it was blocked back and just overshooting the short side of the table for the forehand. And the first game goes to Mengyu of Singapore, 11-8. Players coming back to the table to start off game 2.
Interesting visuals, by the way, at the coaching break, as we can see these large LED screens on the back here, creating somewhat of a counter, and players are putting the drinks on it as well, so looking like they look for answers at the bar counter.
First shot right on the baseline from you. Samara stepping around and making a nice spinny shot. Seems like her focus might be slowing it down a little bit and playing some more spinning consistency, at least from the forehand side. Heavy underspin serve from the reverse pendulum. Great deception, tough to read. You had a tough time. Samara takes her first 2 serves for 2 points, and now you has the serve. Received, good idea, keeping it short just a little too high. Yu gets right in there, steps in and takes the angle. Great power on that third ball.
What I like about Mengyu is she always seems very focused and very collected.
Which is a great contrast to the Romanian team, as they're
Absolutely.
very emotional fighters.
You can also see that Mengyu is so alert to what's going on here. Whenever there's the opportunity to attack, she just calmly attacks. Very efficient play of her.
And that's the first time we've seen the backhand down the backhand side of the court, parallel to the line. Usually she does a ripping cross-court shot with that backhand. Right now, Samara's backhand is on fire. This is winning her probably 75 to 80% of her points right now, outside of the straight-up service. Right idea with the flip, but she's flipping it into the backhand, and it's just a little bit too average speed. Samara's going to eat that all day long. And a 4-point lead, she goes up 5-1 as the players are going to towel off. There's been a lot of sweating going on in this tournament. We've seen the floor wiped up between every game just to make sure that the sweat is not a factor and that the floor has the best traction possible.
And it is quite warm in the Yoyogi National Gymnasium. I think you would agree after 3 days of commentary.
We've seen so far this match. It is the defense, the counterattacks, and great placement. Started off with Yu hitting it right into the body of Elizabeta Samara, forcing her off the table, and she wins the point with her back against the ropes to make it 6-1. This is the type of play I expect to see from Samara and hope to see more of. Very nice placement on the serve deep into the backhand. Sort of a half-long serve. Some underspin. You can see a very quick reaction, a bit uncomfortable for Samara there.
It was uncomfortable. Clear indication of Samara being a bit tense. Who could blame her? She's down 1 game.
And once again, that backhand, it's the ace in the hole for Samara right now. Yu's going to have to change something, because anytime she puts it in the backhand, the point is over.
Good technique as well, keeping the elbow up here, coming a bit from under the table.
And that's the first backhand we've seen. You really loaded it with some underspin. Still not afraid to challenge the backhand. A pretty fearless play.
Again, down the line. What a backhand shot. And I wonder why Mengyu keeps pushing into the backhand. You've said it already, Adam, but it is absolutely evident that it is not working out at this moment.
And we can't tell where it's going to go. The placement is being switched up every backhand. Samara is not telegraphing where the shot is going, making it very difficult to anticipate.
There again.
Backhand, backhand, backhand. I think the coach is going to have a good talk with you between games. Samara might not have such an easy time getting the shot of her choice moving forward. Also, much credit to Samara, the serve making it very uncomfortable, very difficult for you to find a place to put it on the forehand side. She'll get that one, but still the backhand overwhelmingly the favorite for Samara. Sounded like it clipped the edge of the paddle there.
Exactly, something wrong with the stroke itself. We see that maybe in slow motion. It looked actually quite okay, but the bounce was weird. Did you see that? Almost looked like it went still in the air, bounced back a bit. Game points to Elizabeta Samara.
Go!
Only needed one of her 6 game points to take the second game 11-4 and even things up 1-1 for Romania versus Singapore. From Samara, 11-4. We're coming back to a third game. Even scores right now, 0-0 in game 3.
Singapore to serve. Level.
Yu's going to start us off with the serve. Let's see if she tries to avoid that backhand of Samara. Excellent angle
What
counter.
a reaction.
And we haven't seen any long serves here, but Samara with a great receive over the table forehand flip right into the backhand, and Yu countering it wide to an empty court on the forehand side. Banana flip to start it off. Not enough pace right into the wheelhouse of Yu, who takes it for a great attack into the body to take the second point. We're seeing a lot of flip receive right now, not a lot of push. So far, the pace of the flips have not been fast enough, still leaving the third ball to the server.
Exactly. Serve receive is a huge issue for both players at this point. Either is way too passive or, if aggressive, as you said it, just a bit too long. Although that was a good receive from Mengyu, but an even better reaction from Elizabeta Samara. Watch this. Once again, punching it in with the backhand.
That was sort of Matrix-like, the way she got out of the way of that ball. Slow motion. Very, very cool. No special effects needed at the World Championships. Heavy, heavy spin from below the table. Samara getting her legs into it and really just spinning that ball up. Tough, tough block for Yu. And the serve has been broken. Yu is now trailing 2-3. After a great receive, good pace deep to the backhand. Looked like a little bit of side swipe on it, sort of a flat flip. But nice adjustment made and an unfortunate fourth ball for Samara.
And still watching Elizabeta Samara, I do not have the feeling that she's feeling very comfortable now. She's acting confident, but I don't think she's feeling it.
Right, we can see on the contact, the footwork. Definitely something to be nervous about. Very unpredictable shots from her opponent. Wide backhand. She can play anywhere on the table with that first backhand. One thing that's been working out for Yu is when she's able to block the first one, it comes back quickly, and the second one's very soft from Samara on the backhand side, but she's still got to get through that first rip. Excellent try for the inside-out forehand. Looks like Samara's trying to stay loose, stretching the legs this early in the game to be getting tight. Cramping up possibly, nothing you want to be dealing with. But very impressive counter loop play from a good 5 steps behind the table.
But again, missing some small footwork there on the last shot. Once again, indication that she's still a bit anxious here. And if we look at her body language in general, I mean, she's starting to complain now.
Very expressive team, Samara. Not afraid to show her emotion on the court. And that's probably the longest serve we've seen this whole match. Right into the body, a bit of topspin on the pendulum. Some good pace, jamming Samara, and you don't want to take a topspin serve long and try pushing it back. Even if that goes on the table, you're just giving a third ball to your opponent. Great pace and power on the counters from you. She's playing very loose. As you said, focused, seems very comfortable out there.
She's playing it clever too, not switching the side, not spraying the ball over the table, but rather arcing it into the body of Elizabeta Samara, because she knows that Samara is not that loose on her feet at the moment. See that again? Aiming for the pocket shot, aiming for the elbow, and it works out all the time here. 8-4, what a comfortable lead for Mengyu.
And I think you said it right. The feet of Samara right now, just a little bit slow. You definitely exploiting that.
Left. 8-4.
Yeah, that was easy.
Could have been a start to a good rally with the defense we've seen from Samara. I was surprised the first ball came back with this backhand swat.
Nice super slow-mo. Looked like Kalinikos Krianga maybe.
Yes.
Long swing.
Trying for the banana flip over the table. You having 6 game points. Last game it was Samara who had 6. Seems like one side of the table is the stronger side to play on. High risk serve, very fast to the forehand. That is now the new fastest, longest serve we've seen this match. Keeping it, varying the serve placement and speed, definitely valuable to make sure that her opponent can't anticipate what's coming. Keep her a little bit nervous and guessing. Very nice reverse pendulum into the middle of the table, loaded with underspin, and that's 2 game points fought off from Samara. You still having 4 game points in game 3. Three in a row down the forehand side after a fortunate clip off the top of the net and a nice recovery by you.
Finally, Elizabeta Samara is starting to play a little more relaxed here. And that is why we see a timeout from the Singaporean coach. That is a wise decision at this point, just to stop the momentum that Samara was building up. Table tennis all about momentum, really. After you score 2, 3, 4 points in a row, it is much easier. You immediately feel more comfortable, and it's quite a different story on the other side of the table. The opponent starts to get tense, starts to miss a few. And in this best of 5, this third game has tremendous value to both players. So imperative for them to be in the lead 2-1. And I've been doing a little survey here so far among the team of commentators I've been working with. Which one do you like better, Adam? Is it best of 5 or best of 7?
Well, in a teams tournament, you know, I like best of 5 in general. I guess it depends. It's important because in a best of 5, game 1, both players are fighting hard. It's essentially a sprint or a dash. They're not saving anything. They can't afford to waste time feeling each other's games out. They have to come out of the gates running, game plan on. So that, to me, is a life of adrenaline and excitement. I really like that.
10-7.
Same story for me. Feels much more compact and intense, this best of 5. As you said, first and third game, no room for errors. No time to get warmed up. You have to come out guns blazing.
And what a risky receive. Fast, not a very high serve, but Samara with a confident forehand flip over the table. That is 4 points in a row right after the timeout for Singapore. It has not paid off for Singapore. And now Samara has 2 serves to deuce this up in game 3. Unbelievable, the point very close. Samara had been taking it down the forehand side time after time, and after 4 in a row, the game point goes to Mengyu. She leads 2-1 in this match. Up 2-1. Both players have shown great determination. Samara, some great versatility out here. She's going to start this game off with the serve, 0-0 in game 4. backhand opportunity, a little bit played into the elbow, so she had to come on the inside of the ball. Not allowed to get that whip action and power she's used to. Nice little bit of top spin, tough to read. You misjudging the spin.
Interestingly enough, though, I think the longer rallies do not favor Elizabeta Samara at all. She has a very good first topspin, but as you said, once that comes back to the table, there's really nothing much to follow up. She has to rely on a good serve.
And I think one big part of that is she tends to back up from the table. While Yu holds her ground close to the table, she stays in control, doesn't have as much work to finish the point, plays patiently, plays for placement, keeps the ball on the table.
General rule of thumb in professional table tennis, you win matches at the table, not away from it.
Let's. 1, 2.
You could hear the grunt there. She really loaded that up with some topspin from over the table. And it might just be a style thing, but the way she returned that lead serve by bouncing it into the table looked pretty cool and pretty confident to me. Samara with a strong start. Nice placement on the serve, and she's up 4-1. Trying hard to take this to game 5 and pull out the first match for Romania. Perfect placement deep to the backhand corner. Could not tell where that was going. Samara sacrificed a little bit of pace on that for placement, and it definitely paid off.
For an inside-out serve. And we're back to the same game we were seeing in the first game, actually. Or first and second. Samara going for these shorter rallies. Scoring predominantly with the backhand.
Like you said, Seb, one more time. Samara's making this game her game, forcing her opponent to play right into her strength. Finish the rally after lobbing, fishing, running, forehands and backhands. Samara, big crowd pleaser right now. She takes that point. Look at these lobs deep on the table. Big counterattack. Didn't bother you, but the inside-out ball finishes it. Romania was on their feet, and it is 7-1 lead right now for Samara, edging toward game 5.
What a beautiful rally. This is a one-way street so far, this fourth game, Adam. I'm really surprised and looking forward to seeing game number 5, which seems inevitably at the moment.
That serve right there, short with topspin. You looked like she was out of ideas. Just going for a fast flip right off the bounce. Very tough thing to do on that serve. You can see some aggravation. Not as vocally expressive, but very demonstrative on the bounce.
Oh.
Nice recovery block after a big pop-up. Impressive, but maybe too little too late in game 4. We'll see. There was a big comeback streak for Samara in the last game. We'll see if you can do the same in 4. Very nice placement out wide, but it was a bit soft. And now it's 8 straight game points for Elizabeta Samara of Romania. Not a bad recovery on that wide forehand.
That was a bit lucky from Samara too, but luck is part of the game. Usually evens out overall the match, and at this instance she takes it 11-2. The final verdict on this fourth game. Elizabeta Samara winning. It is 2 games apiece.
When Samara's been winning the game, she's been winning very decisively. So this is now game 5. Yu is going to be serving to start it off. Let's see if she can avoid the strategy in the backhand that took last game so much by storm for Samara. Pretty unbelievable that Samara was able to get back in the point after that receive. Nice deceptive serve popped it up for you, but the power did not overtake as Samara blocked it back in and then stepped around for the next ball. You can see her trying to keep her cool with that exhale there. One nice thing about Samara of many, very easy to see what she's feeling.
Completely the opposite though for Mengyu.
That's right. Oh, a little bit of emotion. The mostly poker-faced, calm and cool Singaporean showed us that she's got some fight in her own. Furrowed brow there, getting focused down to the nitty-gritty in game 5. Nice placement, half long into the middle of the table with the reverse pendulum. And you not making good contact on the receive. Samara takes the point on her serve. Here comes the second one. Got the backhand. Looked like her feet might have been a little bit out of place, but you know what? She's made shots like that before. Could it be nerve? Could it be tension, Seb?
I think this whole game absolutely is about feeling comfortable and about tension. On both sides really, but more so for sure on Elizabeta Samara. You see one more botched serve receive. It was the same thing. He lifted what she thought was backspin. There was just no backspin on there.
Maybe that's the focus that you got in the corner, was lightening up the spin on her serve, just putting less spin on it. And we're getting some loose receives, as you mentioned, from Samara.
Now this is a dangerous phase here. I think we should see a timeout. It has been about momentum. If you remember, the games that Mengyu won was largely due to her scoring 4 points in a row and then Elizabeta Samara completely falling off the wagon. And this game is so important for Romania. We have to remember, FENG Tianwei, the top player from the Singaporean team, going strong.
After a net ball on a counter from Samara, Yu with a counter loop of her own deep to the backhand, catching the net. I think there was a little bit of in-your-faceness on that point. You could see that Yu was holding it in, but she pumped her fist, looked right into the eyes for a moment of Samara as Samara rolled away on the floor.
There are these moments in table tennis, you're absolutely right. You have to show your opponent that you have the will, the determination to win. This is not just for yourself. This body language, this clenching fist also has to have an effect on the opponent. 5-2 for Mengyu.
Amazing counterattack.
She has not lost a match in this tournament so far. What a consistent game. What a cool and collected approach for Mengyu. And it's a timeout for Romania.
After an 11-2 win in Game 4, Samara starting off with only 2 points herself as Mengyu has 6. The Romanian coach is going to have to be talking about serve right now and what receive, especially the receive. I mean, we've seen so many popped up high, and even though Samara was able to win one of those points, getting right back in it with a nice block, it's not going to be a winning strategy. We haven't seen a lot of fast serves into the body or even wide to the forehand. Mostly half long, which can be effective. Maybe a few deader serves from Samara, something that looks heavy and is just very light spin would work. Yu is definitely showing that she can stay tough mentally, counter-attacking, blocking, taking the ball quick whenever she has the opportunity. Samara's coming back to the table now a little bit early on the timeout with her plan. Trailing by 4 in Game 5. Yu's got the serve.
Six to 2. This is a big point. Then again, at this stage of the match here, there are no small points left. Just to finish my train of thought here, we have to keep in mind that FENG Tianwei will be playing at least one, maybe two matches, and she has also not lost a match in this tournament so far. Good for at least 1 point, maybe two. So do not allow Singapore to score so early in this matchup. Has to be the goal for the Romanians. Looks more and more unlikely to happen.
Important flip for Samara, trying to give her some hope right now in game 5. Looks like she might be pushing it, and at the last second she changes, shows topspin, puts a little extra flick on it there to get some kick, and it's still a 4-point game. Great placement deep to the backhand. You saw you stretching out to the middle, possibly going to cover the forehand side. Samara turning on that, just twisting her waist to keep it nice and tight on the backhand side. Now only trailing by 3, 4-7. Very good timeout for Samara. She's had a great streak here. It's a 2-point game, 7-5 from 6-2.
I'm telling you, it's momentum. We have a question on Twitter from Kenneth. Question is, after Samara's intense victory yesterday, she was 5-0 up, then was 5-5 and 11-5 again. Do you think she's burned out or able to repeat this performance again? It's difficult to say, but of course these tough matches you still have in your bones. You feel tired, exhausted the next day, especially on the first slot here, which means the players will have to get up quite early and will not be able to get much sleep. So I do think that Elizabeta Samara will feel the exhaustion a bit. Difficult, of course, for her to keep up the same intensity she was showing yesterday.
I think we've got a fighter out here, and the adrenaline's clearly pumping. Just great placement by you. I think Samara has it in her. We'll see if she can pull it out against her opponent. Beautiful ball, turns it to the short corner down the line. Tell Kenneth on Twitter, this could go either way. Samara has the fight. She has the heart. Just overdoing it. You loaded it with spin. You can hear the grunt on every shot from Samara. Nice recovery off the short ball. And now a 3-point lead. Samara's serving 6-9. What a backhand, tucked away, tons of power. You could hear her screaming Cho. Satisfaction to go up 4 match points in the first match. Very decisive shot, authoritative, and 4 match points. 2 serves right now for you from Singapore. First one goes away, nice receive by Samara, wide cross court with the forehand. You can see her sweating bullets out here, deep in thought.
3 remaining, 3 match points. This might be the first point for Singapore. And it is.
After a great recovery by Samara on the first ball, Yu stayed strong as she has the whole match. Great effort by the Romanian Elizabeta Samara, but Mengyu puts one on the board for Singapore as they lead in this overall match 1-0.
Great game. We saw fighting spirit of Elizabeta Samara did not. Women's quarterfinals match between Romania and Singapore. Singapore is up 1-0, and it is upon her here. Daniela Dodean MONTEIRO, 26 years old, world ranked 53 to even the score. But she will have a tough task ahead of her. She's facing FENG Tianwei, the top player of Singapore, with 8-0 matches so far in this World Championships. Unbeaten, the 27-year-old.
And FENG Tianwei is actually world rank number 7 right now. To be in the top 10 women, very strong showing out here. It's going to be a tough match. And Singapore is already up 1-0. As you mentioned, FENG Tianwei could have 2 wins to take this for Singapore. So Romania is not in the best of positions right now.
Exactly, and if we've been brushing shortly upon this victory of the Singaporean team in 2010 in Moscow. Well, you just see her bronze medal at the Olympics for Feng Tianwei, some of her feats, quarterfinalist 3 times at the World Championships. And she was more than just an integral part of that team, winning the finals match against China, where she took 2 points off of China. And she had probably the performance of her lifetime in 2010.
And that's got to be something that gets into Daniela Dodean's head, too. She knows she's playing a world champion right now. At first, I just saw her free hand as if she was saying, what? What's happening? But then realized that's just her form on her backhand during warm-up.
First game, Romania to serve, level.
So Dodean's going to start us off with the serve. 0-0 in the first game of the second match.
1 love.
Interesting serve. Looked like it was sailing a little bit, sort of a half-long serve, but some deceptive underspin, and Feng right into the net. Much better received from Feng. Dodean training at the WSA, Werner Schlager Academy, so she's going to have a lot of excellent service technique, similar to Schlager with that open face and the toss. Wow. Beautiful rip, way wide to the forehand. Did not hesitate at all to step in and take the angle on that ball.
Recently married, if you're wondering about the 2 family names here, to Portuguese player João Monteiro. Still get some getting used to for the table tennis experts. Getting used to the name Dodean Monteiro. I myself might be saying Daniela Dodean more often than not.
That's how we've known her for years and years, so it's a tough habit to break. It's also much shorter and easier. Nothing personal to João Monteiro. After a big backhand right off the bounce close to the table, Dodean has to receive the ball real quickly. Feng, nice block, bringing it back, used to a very fast-paced game over the table.
I have to say, I've seen some ups and downs of Feng Tianwei in 2013. Are we seeing a service warning issued here?
4-2.
Told not to hide the ball. The umpires have been very much on point with their calls so far this tournament, making sure that all rules are enforced. Dodean a little bit behind the table, but still able to pick placement to push Feng back off the table. Dodean has some very fast feet. We've seen her play off the table, step around, similar to the last Romanian, Samara, as far as deep from the table play and comfort. And as you mentioned before, Seb, staying close to the table at this level, very important. Cannot sacrifice that ground. You got to stay in, keep your real estate at the table.
Exactly. Sometimes you do have the feeling you need more time, so you step back from the table. But if you're in a position where you need more time to react to the opponent, you're doing something wrong in the first place.
That's absolutely right. No threat from far away. Even a counterattack as hard as you can from 15 feet behind the table. Too much time for your opponent to react and too much predictability on where the ball's going to go.
That 3-6.
6-3, good start for the world champion of 2010.
What a backhand flip right over the table. You could hear the snap on that ball. Just crushed it as it gets up an inch too high over the net.
Bam.
Point. I mean, Daniela Dodean right there with great placement. She starts the receive off wide to the forehand with some misdirection, blocks back some powerful loops, counters. That point had almost everything we've seen, just shy of a chop.
As I was saying, I was seeing some ups and downs from Feng Tianwei lately, but in this tournament she's so focused. She's back on track to her best form in her career, maybe. On fire in this first game. Look at that.
1-2 combo right off the bounce. Didn't let the ball come up at all. No chance for Dodean to get back in that point. Even in that video, you could barely see the ball bounce. Absolutely on fire. Guess the ball clipped it. Oh, is it a service warning?
Seems to be.
Nice backhands, 2 in a row. These decisions are quick. Feng is putting the ball into the middle of the table, trying to get some hesitation out of Dodean, but Dodean staying strong, making quick decisions to use her backhand on both of those balls. And it's going to cost her the point.
Let me tell you something about service warning, though. We've been seeing that quite some time over this tournament here. Service is something that players are growing up with. They just do it. They don't think about what they're doing. And once you start to think about, do I really move the arm out of the way when you're warned or faulted on a serve even, it can really throw your rhythm off. Look at that. This is something that she normally would not miss at all. And I'm not saying this is just because of the service warning, but you always have that in the back of your head. It's an external impulse in your game, and I have seen games actually turned around by a service warning and a service faulted.
2 quick points for Dodean, now only trailing by 2, 7-9. And it's a 1-point game from the moment of service fault. From 9-5, now 8-9. Forehand to forehand. Dodean, a very, very gutsy play to challenge that forehand from Feng over and over. We've seen 4 in a row for Dodean to tie it up at 9-all. It looked like the game was over, but now it's anybody's game.
Dodean. I don't believe it.
It's a real tough point right now for Feng to have to be worrying about her service call. Coming into the tight points, you want to be able to do whatever you can to have edge on your opponent. You do not want to have to worry about keeping your arm out of the way. Of course she has to because these are the rules, but it might be in her head. Just overdoing the defense, a little long on the lob. The last lobbing point we saw some fishing actually from Dodean. She won the point keeping it deep to the backhand corner of the table with some kick. And now it's deuce, Dodean's serve.
Well, that was lucky. Still counts though. From Feng Tianwei's perspective, she's back on track. I think the last 2 points have seen a much more active Feng Tianwei than before. I think it's safe to say that this service warning did affect her indeed. She did not score a point after 7 points played. Now again, game point for the 27-year-old. And she takes it. 12-10, that was a close call there, but in the end, experience prevails. 12-10, that's 1-0 for Feng Tianwei.
Second game, Singapore to serve, level.
So 1-0 for Feng Tianwei, 1-0 for Singapore in this quarterfinals match of the World Team Championships 2014.
Love.
First point to the world champion of 2010 over Daniela Dodean as well.
Love, 2.
2 quick points for Feng. Nice underspin serve into the backhand. You can see a change in mentality from Dodean after that overly aggressive receive on the first point to a much more cautious receive for the second.
Love,
Heavy
3.
push from Feng, loaded with underspin. Dodean not able to get the legs into that shot. It was all arm, and she could not get it over. Very nice succession of attacks there. The first backhand, the most powerful, followed up by a nice pace on the second one, and then she steps around for the third on the forehand. Great power, nice placement to the length of the table, and Daniela Dodean takes the point. She's on the board, down 1-3.
It has to be building up confidence for her too, this point during a longer rally. Bit of a pick-me-up here. Wake-up call, if you will, for this second game. Feng Tianwei just keeps on going. Good quality on the serve. Drifted out a bit too long, but still heavy backspin.
And Feng has not lost a point yet on her serve. She's won them all that time with a third ball instead of outright on the serve. It's the only third ball she's had to play on her serve so far this game. Great early start in game 2 for Feng Tianwei to put 2 on the board for Singapore. But we're still only in game 2, so this could be anybody's match. Not a bad serve, nice half long. Great patience from Feng as she waited for the ball to come off the table and spin it up to the backhand corner. Just trying to turn on the forehand, overdoing it a little bit. The ball sails long. Dodean now trailing by 4. Going for the counter backhand from way deep off the table after several fishing shots. Feng playing patiently, keeping her pinned on the backhand corner. It's going to be very difficult for Dodean to get back in that point with a backhand from way back there.
Exactly. She has to go high risk like she did in the last attempt there. Sometimes is really the simple solution. Although you have to feel you need to increase the speed, you sometimes just have to pin your opponent on one side. Wow.
Great placement after a net ball. Turning around, you saw Feng turn around and take that big forehand right into the backhand of Dodean. And then to the very corner of the table. Feng knows she has no chance at that ball. Dodean's got to convert that point. That's a difference between 4-7 and 3-8. She's trailing by a lot right now. You can see it on her face. She knew she needed it. Now it's time to collect herself and get ready for the next point. Can't let it affect her mentally moving forward. That was a very deceptive serve. I was sure I saw topspin, and sure enough, so was Feng, and then right into the net.
The issue with these professional players, of course, is not that they're unable to react to the spin. Whatever amount of spin you put on the ball, they'll be able to return it. But really, the art of serving and the art of creating spin is making look like it's completely different spin.
Right, the art of deception. You got it right. And both players have this art down very well, as the receive game has been very difficult for both players throughout this entire game. Spanked across court. Counter rally starting, and the big finish for Dodean. 1-2, and then bam! Nobody home to answer that phone. 4-point game. Dodean is trailing 5-9. Little bit of spin, changing the pace deep to the backhand, taking Feng out of her rhythm a little bit. Feng is used to the very fast, low to the table play. Nice versatility from Dodean. Let's see if she can keep it up to make her come back again. She was down 5-9 last game.
Oh, that was a clever receive. Pushing it out long into the backhand of Daniela Dodean.
And you could see the surprise on her face as the ball caught the table. I think she thought it was off.
Left, 10, 6.
Much better receive on that ball, the push into the middle. And a nice big forehand there to take the point, put the pressure on. Dodean still trailing by 3, fighting off 3 more game points if she can.
Left, 10, 7.
That lead stayed as close to the net as it could. It almost looked like it came back on her side.
Shortest bounce ever. Is that what she's going for again? 3 more game points remaining.
Very nice. You can see Dodean keeping it on the backhand corner as Feng started to break to the forehand side. She did not have a power on the third ball there because of the placement. Very smart play by Dodean.
But as she misses this topspin attempt here, 11-8 is the result of this second game. That's 2-0, which could be considered a comfortable lead for Feng Tianwei.
Both of you?
So Dodean is trailing by 2 now, 0-2 in game 3. Umpire giving a word of warning for service, it looked like.
Third game, Romania to serve.
Any sentence that starts with both of you means there's going to be some listening going on. Unbelievable receive.
Okay.
That point, what happened? Just
for a second there I thought it was lead, but that was just an excellent serve receive.
There was no response at all. I thought it was a lead too because Dodean didn't even move. That's how short the receive was. Unbelievable touch by Feng. And backhand to backhand, Dodean able to take that point. She's got a bit of a shotgun backhand herself if you hit it into the wheelhouse. Changes up, spin instead of speed. Nice pace change from Dodean. Takes an early lead, but just 1 point.
Well, the idea here for Daniela Dodean was just to vary the pace here, just go for a bit of slower spinny topspin to break the rhythm of Feng Tianwei, but in the end it broke her own rhythm.
Right, I think Feng got clever with changing the pace and saying, yeah, 2 can play that game. I'm up for the challenge. And with that change of pace you're talking about, I think Dodean can change the pace all day long, but what it really comes down to is finding the opportunity to step around and take that forehand winner. Right idea, a little bit greedy, a little bit ambitious, overshooting the wide angle on that backhand corner. This towel break is much like a mini timeout right now for Dodean. She's gathering her thoughts. You can see the look on her face, and it's not just the Schlager eyebrows that come up to the center. It's the deep thinking right now in this game. What a shot. She sees Feng Tianwei turn the corner, and in a moment, a heartbeat, makes this decision right down the line, no hesitation. World-class play to be able to make these decisions like that, to use your peripheral and sense that your opponent's turning. soft block on the forehand side. Feng stepping in and putting the power on, staying right near the table for this second ball.
Dominant expression too, clenching her fist here, looking at her opponent. She's in it to win it. Service error. And I don't know if you've noticed, Adam, but we've actually seen a lot of service errors in this tournament. There's at least one in each game I've commentated on in the last 3 days.
6-4.
That's right, and I think that's just a testament to how much pressure there is to make sure your serves are absolutely on point, low to the net, short, or decisively long when they're going to be long. You can't be sloppy and just, you know, you have to be very intentional with every serve, which is why we're seeing all these faults.
This is just something she could do all day, Feng Tianwei. The push was way too high from Daniela Dodean. Nice cross-court action. Oh, good technique on the forehand topspin. And there's 4 points to go for Feng Tianwei. And Romanian coach feeling the need here for a timeout. Bit of a passive timeout approach. There are active timeouts and passive timeouts. This one, much more a defensive one.
And real quickly for some of our listeners, can you explain the difference between an active and a passive timeout?
Exactly. Active timeout used when you're leading, when you're in front, and the opponent starts to score, let's say, 2 or 3 points. And before it gets to that crucial stage of you losing the lead, you take a timeout just to make sure that you stay in the lead, make the gravity of the situation sink in with the opponent, and just calm the game down for a second. And then these defensive timeouts when nothing is working out and you're starting to lose the game here, and as Daniela Dodean now is in danger of losing the match even, just take this timeout, bring her back on track, focus your thought, collect yourself, go back to the table, do your best. Interestingly enough, though, we see in Asian teams more often than not actually the offensive timeout, while in European teams you usually see the defensive timeout, as we saw here.
That is a very interesting observation that I think you're right. I mean, I've been seeing that this whole tournament. Very astute, Seb.
7-4. Second serve for Feng Tianwei. And although there was a point for her opponent, really the initiative was once again with Feng Tianwei. She just missed that by a fraction.
Not a bad response from Dodean off that fast serve deep into the backhand. Nice first opening ball cross court to the forehand. Takes a little bit of pace off, and you see Feng going for the short corner. If that ball lands, it's going to be putting Daniela Dodean way off the table. One of those backhand defensive shots.
7-4.
Looked like topspin again. Ball floated deep on the table. Very interesting set of serves. And it's 7-all after the timeout. Romania, valuable timeout so far. Very uncomfortable shot. We haven't seen Feng taking a ball like that. Had to step completely around the table to try and take an inside-out forehand. Shot selection, Seb.
Yeah, and decision making too. I don't think that was just the right idea to just play forehand on that one. Could have easily kept the ball in play with the backhand topspin. And I've talked about ups and downs of Feng Tianwei, and you can see a bit of that right here. She has these phases where she's hitting everything. And then there are moments like this when I have now 5 mistakes in a row.
Much credit to Dodean. You can see her come back in the table after that forehand. See, she starts moving in, keeps the pressure on, using both sides. She steps around that ball for another forehand. She's in trouble. Good thing she has that backhand on her resume. This is getting very, very tight. Dodean fighting down 0 games to 2. Had a 9-7 lead after a great timeout. Feng is closing in, but Dodean has the serve. Should be in control of this point. Very unusual ball deep on the table. It looked like the rhythm of Dodean was pretty thrown, not expecting the bounce she got. Tied up now, 9-all in the business end, as you guys say, of this game, and the match for that matter.
Just a term I picked up from the great Don Parker. Business end, indeed, 9-all. And it's match point FENG Tianwei. And let me just shortly come back to this. This is just the hallmark of a great player, is just to be 100% there when the time comes. And this is at 9-9 here, and we see FENG Tianwei once again fully focused on the task at hand. And if she takes the next point, her losing the last 4 out of 5 doesn't matter anymore.
And she does it. FENG Tianwei, great recovery of game 3 after an excellent effort from Daniela, Dodean, MONTEIRO of Romania. And now Singapore goes up 2 matches to 0 in the overall matchup. And now for the third singles matchup, you can see Bernadette Szocs from Romania versus Isabelle Lee from Singapore. Isabelle Lee is world ranked number 159 and Bernadette Szocs 59. So Bernadette right here, definitely the strong favorite. She is a fighter and a screamer. Checking the paddle. She's a very bold personality, not too shy, as you'll shortly find out if you've never heard her play before.
Turn down the monitor here a bit. I know what you're talking about, and we for sure will be hearing it shortly. Yeah, you're right. 100 points in the world ranking separating these two. They're the same age. We see here Siyun Lee, world ranked 159, 19 years old as well as her opponent. Bernadette Szocs, among Petrissa Solja, maybe the 2 best youngsters in Europe.
First game.
Always been placing runner-up or winning tournaments, always meeting in the finals. And Bernadette Szocs has played a great world championship. Let's see if she can continue. The pressure is on her, as we've seen so many times here in this team format, that the third game really is the key game to the overall match. She's faced with elimination from the tournament bracket if she loses, Bernadette Szocs.
Very unusual first 3 points. We're used to seeing a lot of patience against a chopper, and from pushes to just missing the first opening ball, these 3 points have gone very, very quickly. And again, you know, right after the first point, we saw Szocs swinging her arm as if she was trying to stay loose, something you see more in the later parts of the game, rarely after the first point.
So many different approaches to facing a defensive player. One of them is just overpower them with relentless attacks, and that is the avenue that Bernadette Szocs will trying to pursue here. Just really going for all-out attack. Her counterpart we've seen yesterday, actually, Petrissa Solja against Belarusian defender.
And what a forehand attack. If the defender can do that with their forehand, it really puts a lot of pressure on the offensive player to make sure that they keep the ball low, and if they're pushing back to bring the player in, that the ball's short and low, because you do not want to have to face that forehand.
I wonder what's going on with Bernadette Szocs. She's just not hitting the ball.
Yeah, it seems very uncharacteristic.
Romania don't advise. 3 players. No, yes. No? Yes.
This is a lineup here. The facial reaction, I love it. We've pinned the guilty one.
Says it all. Found the scapegoat here. Elizabeta Samara. Don't coach during game time. Yellow card.
I think that was the funniest yellow card I've ever seen.
Does that affect her at all? That was well done. Absolutely.
Gave up after 3. The first 3 shots were outstanding, and the last shot was just like, forget this. If you're going to keep bringing it back, look, it's just standing up straight, way too high. It was a decision to lob is what it looked like.
But first of all, she was surprised to come back to the table anyway, and then she was not comfortable with the high bounce. And that's the first real point of Bernadette Szocs, and to be honest, the first game's almost over. Whoa, that was close.
These forehands, they look like give-up shots, just flat hits, but she made them one after another. And as far as surprise goes, when the ball comes back and you're playing a defensive player, you have to be expecting it. That's their job, to bring it back.
Yeah, there's just no way this is going to work. Sometimes when you're playing a defensive player, you have these high bounce, you feel the instinctive need to smash, but there's just so much backspin on there.
And Szocs showing her power, but a little bit of patience and shot selection will probably do her very well coming into the next game. She's now down 4-10, 6 game points against her. Lee with the serve. Great
no
angle.
questions asked. Fantastic performance of Isabelle Lee. Much better than we've seen her yesterday, actually. Wins the first game 11-4. That's 1-0 for Singapore.
Second game. Singapore to serve, level.
And Lee's going to serve. The underdog ranked world 159 is up 1-0 in games. Beautiful forehand, fast feet, step around, no hesitation to take the attack when it's there. Szocs still having a lot of trouble on the receive.
I like this serve, by the way. High toss backhand serve we've seen from many defensive players in the women's. Siyun from Korea, North Korean counterpart, and now Isabelle Lee. Good job on varying the spin by lifting the racket upwards after just before the touch, actually.
Looked like that ball was heavy, heavy topspin. Lee thought it was. Not enough to carry it back over the net. And again, that impatience. Yeah, it's a little high, but it's loaded with backspin and it's deep on the table. There's no pressure to win the point outright against a defender.
Exactly. You have to find the right balance between pressuring the defending player and overdoing it.
You have to wonder what they talked about on the timeout, because these are the same shots we've seen. And there's the coach with an eye roll. His facial expression says a lot. And Lee just on fire right now, attacking every ball that gets up, staying in at the table after her serve. You can't guess what she's going to do next. Good service from Szocs.
This goes to show you it's so easy being the underdog for Bernadette Szocs. She was the star yesterday in the match against Korea, winning the final point for her team. And this is a different day here. She had a night's sleep, some time to reflect on her performance, and right now she's expected to win. And we can see right away that this role does not fit her at all.
Well, we're starting to hear some of the screams we talked about, but they're still fairly subtle compared to what we've heard yesterday and throughout the tournament. So maybe this is her warming up her fire.
She will have to start reading the opponent's serve better, because there was a botched serve receive once again. Lucky for Bernadette Szocs that Isabelle was not pouncing on it.
We were talking about Lee's experience and play in this tournament so far, and right now we are both very impressed with how much versatility she's bringing to this game. Nice block by Szocs to bring it back on the table and force the defender to attack again. Although so far I think that's the first forehand miss we've seen with the attack from Lee. Has Hasn't worked the past 10 times. Let's try it a few more and see what happens.
The scientific approach. I wonder if this happens every time.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Much more like it.
Absolutely, much better, patient play. You could see her willing to push 4, 5, 6 shots in a row, selecting the balls to attack, not just slapping at it, but spinning it. That's the type of play the coach wants to see out of Szocs. Very patient, great strategy. You could even see a few times when Lee was expecting a deep shot, and Szocs brought her right back in for another push. It's now a 2-point game. Lee serving 7-5. Let service. There's some screaming. The voice crack and the scream together means she's playing well. Very happy with herself for that. Nice patience.
Timeout from the Singapore coach.
And a good timeout because Bernadette's really showing that she's willing to change her game. And she is the more experienced player. She is the higher ranked player. So you always know in the back of your head when you're the underdog by a lot and you've got the lead that it might be a ticking clock.
What a coach might be telling her is that after the serve, which is still pretty good and still confusing Bernadette Szocs, Isabelle needs to be a bit more aggressive because all of these serves received, she could attack if she wanted to.
Absolutely, I think you're dead on with that assessment. We saw a few early on backhand high toss serves where Lee turns around with the forehand attack playing the angles. The stadium's going crazy just on the other court. Germany very, very close, and it's deuce in the 5th. Ivanchan. But back on our table, Szocs is making her comeback. 1-point lead for Isabelle Lee from Singapore. All right, making us look like honest people. Szocs playing well and screaming. We didn't see the attack from Lee. Third ball turned right into the defense.
Tomahawk serve. Haven't seen that of Bernadette Szocs. I don't know about the chop with the backhand from the forehand corner, to be honest. As I see it, Isabelle is still way too passive here.
That's 3 chops in a row that have gone into the net. We saw Lee standing up a bit straight, looking a bit passive. The timeout was called. You have to wonder what was said over there because we haven't seen anything that seems like a better plan than what Lee had before just yet. There it is. That's what we've been talking about, what we expected to see. Maybe a little bit late in the game after the timeout, but better late than never. It's a very strong forehand attack. You can see Szocs just trying to block it back, stay in the point. Very short ball, too high to the net, but the reach of Lee not able to get to the ball. Now Szocs has 2 game points to tie things up at 1 game apiece.
Hi, Bethany.
It was high, it looked juicy, looked like something she could just crush, but you have to remember that the first game and a half, that hadn't been working for you. Oh no, we've seen it right off the bat. That's the fourth chop that's gone short since the timeout. And 11-9, Szocs takes it in a very tight second game. It is tied up at 1 game apiece.
Time is up. Please come back. Okay.
So here we go.
Game 3 about to start. Umpire warning players to make sure they come back when time is called. We've seen a lot of people trying to get a few extra seconds on the coaching.
And this is clever. It may look a bit weird here from the technical point of view from Bernadette Szocs, but still this is clever. The way she's just lifting it, and when there's not much topspin on it, it's difficult to chop back for the defender.
And that's 2 points in a row that flat hit on the high balls actually worked for her. Was not a successful shot earlier in the match, but she gets the 2 first points with it. And the attack of Lee being a very powerful addition to the defensive game. She's getting a little extra spin. You can see on her follow through, she sort of brings the racket head back down near her left shoulder, making it a bit tough to read for Isabelle Lee. This isn't the same play we've seen from Lee in the first 2 games.
Absolutely not. Now, it did happen. Bernadette Szocs has woken up here.
A lot of conversation with the umpire.
In this overall match, to be honest.
Yeah. And there it is again. She's doing that thing with the racket. Sometimes she goes straight up a traditional loop off a chop, but she's sort of pulling it back down. Can't tell if it's a little bit of extra side spin on it, if it's just some top spin, but it's making it real tough for Lee to receive. Want to make sure the left shoe is tied tight, definitely, when you're playing at this level.
Yeah, and do it as slow as possible, too.
Right, no, that's important. Not because it gives, oh, the right shoe, too. Yeah, got to untie it and then tie it. This is almost a shoelace timeout, really. Really good opportunity for Lee to think. Wouldn't be surprised if there's another conversation with the umpire. Double knot. That was very questionable on the shoe tie.
Doing everything necessary in order to win. Isabelle Lee, 1-5 from her perspective. Wow.
Amazing attack game, and honestly an impressive showing of patience from Szocs to not run in and try to finish the point off after that drop shot. Little chop, she comes running in, but still playing patient, forcing Lee to attack again. And 3 attacks in a row wins the point for Lee.
But the chop itself shows a problem here in the mindset of Isabelle Lee. There was high bouncing on the forehand. She chopped it back with the backhand. This is the default move, the fallback decision for a defensive player, but this is not the right decision most of the time in this match.
Great power, the flat hit again. Starting to work for Szocs. She's had 3 points with it so far in this game. It was looking like the shoe tie might have made the difference for a while, but Szocs putting a point on the board, extending the lead again to 3 points.
Nope.
4-6.
Nice light chop there by Lee. Szocs thought there was more on it than there was. It was an interesting serve from Szocs, the tomahawk side, but with topspin sort of deep onto the table on the backhand side. Well, you know what? It had been working for her this game so far. They look easy when they're high, but that's what defenders are all about. Varying their spin, loading it with spin.
Oh, it's also a bit late there on the timing from Bernadette Szocs.
That's right. And this game has turned around quite a bit.
Yes, it has. And a crucial stage 2 here in this third game. 6-all. Super slow-mo.
Love this shot. You can see a little bit of top spin there. But the axis of rotation, very subtle, tough to read. We don't see a lot of backhand loops against Szocs. Usually the player runs around to the forehand side. It's going to be uncomfortable for most players. Szocs has now lost her lead, was up 5-2 and is now down 6-7. The attack wide to the forehand so far has not been wide enough as they've both been blocked back. And then when Lee tries to go to the backhand corner, a little bit of pressure for the shorter shot. Not able to convert the forehand attack. Still tied up at 7-all in game 3. Tied up in games and in points. Heard a little bit of warning asking the players to play, the umpire. That's an unusual combo.
Yep.
I don't think we've seen a serve like that from the forehand side pendulum, waiting for the attack. Ironically, you'd think it'd set her up for the backhand as the rest of her table is a backhand. Maybe a high toss? Off the top of the net and just off the table. Lee fighting to stay in this. Tied up again at 8-all. Nice comeback going in the beginning after the shoe tie.
Working with the heavy spin she produced from the serve and conserved it throughout the rally. It's the forehand chop though that's posing a huge problem to her own game, Isabelle Lee. Not a good technique on there, and once there's just not much spin on there to begin with from Bernadette Szocs, so what's there to chop back?
Unbelievable. Impressive receive there. The retrieval of the ball deep to the backhand and high, floats back onto the table and curving, but Szocs was right there, steps in and just smacks it so wide to the forehand. That ball has no chance of return. Nice combination of words there.
Yep.
Good 3-hit combo. Fought off
spin
one.
serve, float serve, very clever decision from Isabelle Lee. One more time, maybe the short topspin serve and then go for the swing on the forehand topspin. That's what I would do if I was 19 years old and from Singapore. Again, the forehand chop. It does not work for Isabelle Lee at all. And it's 12-10, 11-9 actually. 2 games in a row for Bernadette Szocs. She's up 2 games to 1.
Așa? Păi și atunci de ce dai?
Yes. First match, first game.
So after a very exciting roller coaster of a game 3, Szocs pulls it out and is up 2-1 to start off the 4th. We got the serve on Lee's side from Singapore.
Backhand chop, very effective, heavy backspin as you said.
Again, that's a little bit odd. The forehand chop has not been the most effective shot for Lee so far, especially in the last game.
Nope, that was not the ball to attack on.
Don't want to start a counter looping rally when you're 2 steps behind the table as a defender. If it's high and you're moved in, that's a good time. Very odd shot selection, trying to block it back almost the same, starting a counter loop rally, giving a very comfortable shot to Szocs even if she makes it.
Very clearly to see here what both players still have to be working on in the future for Isabelle Lee for sure. This is the whole forehand side in her repertoire. the shot is okay, but she's doing so many mistakes on it, and the quality of the shot is just not good at all. She should go for the lift once in a while, lift the topspin back to the table.
And that's the first backhand that we've seen get over the net. Forehands there, but not enough, and Szocs showing some strong defense, some lobs deep on the table, forcing Lee to be attacking with that forehand.
I have to say, after the first game here, it is all going downhill for Isabelle Lee. It even looked relaxed on Bernadette Szocs, was arcing it around, giving a bit of side spin as well.
Looked pretty comfortable, just tried to place the last ball to the middle, and it was too short. Not sure what that means, but some vocalization, frustration from Szocs. The patient play has been successful more than almost anything. There's been a good balance of what's working and what's not for Szocs. But that strategy is she brings the racket head down again and loading it with spin, waiting on the ball, playing patient. Very strong decision. It's a 2-point lead for Szocs. Lee serving 3-5. And the backhand attack. We have not seen that. She stayed with the inverted. Up flipped. Oh no, it was the pips. She twiddled right after the serve as usual and hit it with the pips. The ball was high enough. She felt comfortable to do it.
Finally some heavy backspin on the chop.
We've seen that chop go right into the net several times throughout game 3.
Don't delay the playing.
Interesting timing to let the player know about the delays. The shoe tie, the most excessive delay we've seen.
Yes, absolutely was. Then again, they needed to be tied, I'm sure.
And triple knotted on both feet. Untied first and then tied. Although I will admit I've played matches before where the shoes do feel a little loose and do need to be untied, so could be legit. Spin variation, the forehand inverted rubber. Was just thinking, I wonder when we're going to see some dead spin chops. And from the backhand to the forehand, that forehand sure was heavy.
And this is really the key to success for Isabelle Lee. If she is to win it here, she has to rely on the spin variation.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a timeout coming up soon. 3-point lead. Lee takes this game, sends it to a 5th. Could be very, very interesting. Very nice recovery after a high ball. Szocs caught flat-footed off that chop. Looked like she was not expecting the ball to come back. Once again, you're playing a defender. You got to be ready for anything. And she's rushing it. No need to do that. She can play patient and keep spinning it.
How often has that worked for Bernadette Szocs, Adam?
Game 3, it worked a few times, gave her a little bit of confidence, but overall, definitely not a winning shot for her. And a very, very lopsided game as Lee takes it 11-5 and 2-2 in the 5th, Singapore versus Romania.
Second game. Romania to serve level.
And we're back in the excitement where we want to be. Game 5 of the match. Szocs with a great start, playing patient. Nice retrieves on the forehand side by Lee. And then Szocs trying to finish the point to the short side of the table with a bit of a flat hit. Nice serve and even better scream. Szocs takes the point. Good combo. Loaded that up with some underspin short to the forehand side. flat hits working again. Half of this, half of that. Szocs, very unpredictable. Beautiful execution, stepping in, closing on the ball to the wide open backhand court, taking it very early after a big flat hit. The ball comes up high, you can see this, steps in, smacks it, blocked back with some topspin and closing it out to the backhand side. Perfect execution, arguably the best point yet for Bernadette Szocs from Romania. Great placement right into the body, hitting the finger of Lee, not able to control it. Szocs off to a great start at 4-1, but it is still early in Game 5, and we have seen comebacks of even a more drastic nature from the Singaporean. In the air, she is pumped like nobody's business. We're going to switch sides as Bernadette Szocs takes the 5th point now for her own team. She's up 5-1. One smash after another right onto the elbow, stepping in, taking it early, and playing the angle. Szocs has shown us that she is a 5th game player throughout this tournament after beating the South Koreans the 5th game of the 5th match yesterday. She's really stepping it up when it is showtime, and showtime is right now. Lee serving 1-5. Intense eye contact and stare along with that scream. Very psychological game. Lee seeming very quiet, deep in thought right now. She's got to do something to change the pattern of this game. And that is definitely something. Steps in, gets it near the net. Hard flat hit. That forehand attack has been threatening on and off throughout the match, especially when she's close to the net. The service receive of Szocs is going to be very crucial for the next several points when Lee is serving. Forehand chop haunting Lee again, falling just short as it was in Game 3. Oh, bit of misfortune there against Lee. Szocs not needing the lucky break, but the ball dropped for 2 bounces on the table after the net, and it's a 6-point lead. Lee trailing 2-8.
We hope you enjoy the women's.
Interesting answer. Was just thinking about how Lee has not had much of an answer to Szocs' runaway in Game 5. And then a quick point with an early chop. We've seen much longer rallies so far in this game.
Something that Bernadette Szocs has to be working on in the future is this overall technique with the forehand. Doesn't look clean to me, to be honest. She does get the ball back to the table, and yes, she can put on the pressure, but just the overall technique does not look very smooth, to be honest.
But on this one right here, Lee running around, taking the inside of the ball, playing the angle cross court. Great commitment, fully into that shot. Bit of surprise as the chop was as deep as could be on the table. Looks like Szocs was ready to scream in celebration for the long chop, but it came down. Timeout is called. Szocs quick over to the coach.
Da foarte bine servit, te-ai așezat, a venit minge și te-ai răzgândit ce ai pus acolo. Ai grijă la când servește ea, vezi la returul ăla, caută și nu schimbi, dai mereu la revers.
Looks like the coach is talking about the serve receive.
Dacă e bună
We've seen backhand topspin from Lee. Difficult serve to read at times. Sets her up for the attack. The last 3 points have gone to Lee from Singapore. She's making her comeback here in Game 5. Szocs is back to the table with an extra 19 seconds left on the clock in this timeout, so her opponent has to come back to the table. Let's see if she can stop the comeback train. The momentum can change. Very interesting choice.
Yep, serve from the middle. Sometimes this is really the right decision to just mix it up once in a while. Of course, you have to be able to score too.
It just seems odd. She just came off of the timeout. I mean, unless that was the direct order from the coach and she forgot it, to see someone change their service like that, maybe that's what happened. Beautiful counter loop, squatting down to the ground. Sort of a leapfrog loop.
And a bold attack too in that situation here. That was a really risky shot. And she's been missing quite a few of these. But to go for that in that kind of situation, that's a good sign for her mental strength, Isabelle Lee.
And it's 3 points in a row immediately following the timeout for Szocs. Lee taking advantage of that timeout that her opponent called. We're seeing more forehand attacks. We're seeing fearless play, very bold. Tied up in the 5th from 8-2, 6 straight points for Lee from Singapore. Fortunate, no apology, just all scream. Top of the net after a great recovery from a net shot earlier in the rally. Right there it clips. And this one, 2 bounces on the table. Nice touch by Szocs. Very unfortunate. Lee hustling to get there, but cannot. First point in 7 points for Szocs.
Still not liking this forehand chop here. Bouncing way too high, there's not that much spin on there to begin with. So why bounce it back to the table? Just go for the lift, play the topspin, something. And it's match point to Bernadette Szocs.
My heart is beating very, very fast right now. This is super intense.
Hope I don't have to be worried about you.
I've got some water if I need it. Thank you, Seb. 10-8. 8 serving 10.
And there it is.
Great defensive play, opening flip, very bold from Lee. An important match, still recovering. Bernadette Szocs comes over for the quick handshake after a big 5-game winner to take her team on to the next round.
Finally got some spring in her steps. She was facing elimination there for her team as well, especially in the beginning, starting stages here. And look at her now, sigh of relief.
And FENG Tianwei, 27-year-old world ranked number 7, the favorite here against Elizabeta Samara. Nice placement right to the middle there. Samara quickly backing up and not able to pick a side of the racket.
High pressure situation for Elizabeta Samara now. Up against the top player, among the top players I should say, of this overall tournament here. Up to a 9-0 now, FENG Tianwei.
And a very good start with 2 serves that have earned her very clean third ball attacks. Samara backing up both points, not able to defend that attack. Great length by Samara just for a second bounce on the table. You can see FENG trying to figure out what she wants to do with it. And as we remember from the match earlier today, Samara's backhand is the big thing to watch out for.
2-all.
Players take both of their serves and we're tied up at 2 apiece. So far, a service and receive game. Nice step in there by Samara, really putting the pressure on to take that flip over the table with the backhand. But FENG, definitely a wall, used to the fast-paced game over the table, had a nice response to it, sending Samara away from the table right after.
2-4.
Short serve to the backhand. Sort of an odd choice to step around and end up pushing with the forehand. Looked like a last-minute change of mind there. Samara trailing by 2 as she was last time she started the serve. What a backhand.
Cool.
Quick to the short side of the table, picked the spot that nobody saw coming. And that's what makes her one of the top players in the world, is the unpredictability, the change of direction on that backhand shot.
Plus down the line, usually a good placement to win the point. We see so many shots played cross-court because from a technical point of view, this is just the easy option for the backhand and the forehand as well. But if you play down the line, you break the rhythm anyway.
Right, much shorter part of the table, smaller margin for error. So far, everyone has held their serve, 4 points apiece on their serves. And again, great service placement. Questionable choice. Samara running around that backhand again to play a soft forehand, leaving the attack there and the forehand court open for Feng to take. Well, that's what it's going to take, is taking the receive with the backhand attack, but it's right into the backhand. I think she's got to find the elbow of Feng, because Feng's too comfortable blocking that shot to start the rally. We don't want to see Samara get away from the table either. We've seen the feeder a little bit slower, and against this level of play, you can't sacrifice your position at the table.
Five, 6.
Not a serve missed. Everyone who served has won the point so far still. Game 1 has been filled with shorter rallies.
As was game 1 for Samara's first game, if you remember.
That's right.
Also due to her excellent serve.
And that is the first broken serve. Serve drifted a little bit long, allowing Feng to take the attack first. Heavy spin ball, a lot of pressure on the backhand, flat hit there by Samara trying to cover it. Toweling off, she's now trailing by 2 for the first time. That Feng has started the serve. It hasn't worked yet. She's been running around it. We see her switching off, still trying to decide what the best receive is for this serve to the backhand. Nice underspin. Lobs deep on the table, just a little bit too deep. She needed to get one of those serves.
Still collected, very focused, very determined here, Feng Tianwei. Honestly, as a fan of table tennis, nice to see her in that way.
6, 9.
Wasn't always the case on the World Tour this year. But in these big tournaments, in these tense situations, she's very focused.
Very close to the back edge of the table. Tough to tell if it clipped. I guess it didn't. Samara with great service placement of her own there. The ball barely coming off the edge of the table. The experience and patience of Feng creating a good opportunity, but just playing it to the short side of the table was just long.
The past 3 games played between the two. 2 were won by Feng Tianwei, but the last match was indeed won by Elizabeta. Samara, who at least is in danger of losing this first game now.
There it is again, that forehand receive from the backhand corner. Not enough pace on it. The placement still right into the backhand. And Feng sees it, leaves open the forehand court, and just crosses it right there. Let's service, fortunately. For Samara, that is. Much better receive, brings it out, cross court to the forehand. Looked like Feng was not expecting that shot, had to get there quickly. Was waiting on the backhand side. Players toweling off. You were going to say, Seb?
Something that Feng should be looking into is not playing this half-long serve into the backhand, because as you said, and as we've seen in the first game as well, Elizabeta Samara especially strong on the backhand receive when the ball has enough length on it.
exchange, counter loops, forehands and backhands from Samara. Not resorting to the lob, trying to stay in the point, but the last ball, a little bit of pace taken off, falls short, and Samara not able to loop it as 11-8. First game goes to Feng of Singapore. Singapore takes the first 11-8. Although we've seen the experience of Samara, the versatility, she's changed things up. Last match, second game was much better than the first, and quite a drastic switch in performance. So I'm pretty excited to see what Samara pulls out here. Lead service. Very nice first spin ball deep to the backhand, but Feng makes the break and blocks it out wide to the forehand with a very fast, low trajectory block. Samara not ready to recover from her first big forehand. Nice placement on the serve, half long out to the forehand. Not a lot of option for Feng, and Elizabeta Samara gets a nice third ball hit.
Feng Tianwei was committed to playing the second shot with the forehand as well, and it's very tough from that position she was in, moving away from the table and into her backhand side. Good placement from Elizabeta Samara overall.
2-1.
That's a trap. It's just a trap. That serve right there. We see the forehand receive from Samara, sort of a medium receive, and she's caught in between steps there with just sort of a swat at the ball to recover. Great change of pace by Feng. Big backhand over the table loop.
That was deceptive as well, that serve. It looked much easier than it actually was to flick that. Clever job by Feng Tianwei the last 2 points.
Wow, what a backhand. That's the backhand that we saw attempted last point.
That's pure defiance right there.
Not a bad flip receive either. The ball was gone before there was any chance of even getting back and set to the middle for Feng. Very nice defense from Samara after the inside-out forehand.
Timeout.
Falling to the ground, sort of side-swiping that ball. And then another low shot, the block. It's a pretty... Was a timeout called?
No, actually just a towel break.
I was going to say that'd be a pretty early timeout, although we've seen earlier in this tournament. We've seen some first game timeouts in very important moments.
4-3.
Again, that heavy underspin serve. Samara having trouble reading it. World rank number 7. The art of deception. It's a huge factor out here. You could see the look on Elizabeta's face. Right after she hit that ball, she knew it was too deep. She doesn't want to be there anyway. We've seen her do some counter-looping rallies from several steps off the table. Defensive position, but still coming back in to make the attack. And she's got the power, especially on the backhand side. A little bit of hesitation right at the elbow. Great placement by Feng. Samara not sure what to do, where to go with that shot. Once again, Singapore is leading in this overall match, 2-1, so there's a lot of pressure on Romania's Samara right now.
7-3.
Just Feng Tianwei demonstrating why she has not dropped a match so far in this World Championships. 9-0 her results, and well on her way to scoring that 10th point really. 7-3. What a valuable player to have on your team at this tournament.
7-4.
And she's pretty much been sticking to the plan. We've seen a lot of play right into the elbow, followed up with angular shots and stepping in, taking advantage of a soft ball. Samara's going to have some better responses to derail the train.
Left, 7-4.
Great banana flip by Samara. but a little bit slow. Feng stepped in right away, punched it down the backhand line.
And that was just dry, really. All the effort Elizabeta Samara put into that backhand flick. The perfect laconic response really from Feng Tianwei, just block it straight in. She looks relaxed too, and why shouldn't she be?
That inside out forehand, great placement from Feng. It looked like Samara was planted, ready for the shot, but then it was into the body. You'll see here. Very great pace. It was almost a defensive swat, ball right at the face. That was all Samara could do to even bring that ball back. Tough shot. Excellent serve. The ball biting the table and staying for a second bounce. It looked like Feng caught the table trying to recover that serve. You can see her wiping her racket, checking the rubber, making sure everything was okay.
Seems to be okay. Otherwise, she would have had to switch her racket. This is something the players try to avoid at all costs.
Yeah, that can be a detrimental loss to a player. You're using your spare, a little bit different in the feel. Something might not be the same. It can cost you the match sometimes, even mentally for the player. And now it's 5 game points for Feng Tianwei. What a backhand, quick feet. She steps in right away. It's as if she knew the ball was going to be there. Part of her plan. That's the experience of world rank number 7, and she's up 2-0. So Feng Tianwei holding up her end of the bargain right now, up 2-0 against Elizabeta Samara from Romania. Romania is trailing 1 match to 2 in the overall matchup.
Singapore to serve.
And Feng Tianwei showing no signs of even potential defeat.
Plus, I'm liking the demeanor of Feng Tianwei. Really this calm and collective, like, I'm never going to lose this anyway attitude that she's bringing to the table. At least that's what I'm reading into it.
Yeah, it's a nice focus too. It's not a cocky, I don't need to bring my game to the table confidence. It's a, this is what I'm doing and this is working for me confidence. Nice placement there. Very good banana flip over the table. The backhand receive has been far more effective for Samara, not falling into that trap of taking a soft receive with the forehand. Just lifting a little bit too much on that ball. And as you mentioned before, the forehand flip that Samara has been doing from the backhand side, just a little bit soft. And Feng really able to exploit that and take control of the point early on. And Feng all the way over on the forehand side of the court to make the backhand receive. Samara, very nice response for the third ball, staying on top of it, spinning it wide to the length of the court. Oh, the first counter was beautiful. The inside-out forehand. Nice lob deep on the table, but the patience and confidence of Feng. And once again, it was that placement right into the body that caught Samara a little bit off guard and forced her away from the table.
I like the loop, though, of Elizabeta Samara, bouncing right on the white line and bouncing high. That is difficult for a player like Feng Tianwei to smash back, because some of the players will just refuse to hit the ball overhead and always try to hit it beside the head with a bit of topspin there.
But Feng has won the last 2 points from down 1-3. It's now tied up, and Samara has the serve. Very clever
Resilient.
placement. I mean, I thought for sure that Samara hitting it back to the forehand side after the first one. Right there, you can see it caught Feng off guard, but she stayed with it, got back and ready, no problem. That's 4 in a row for the Singaporean Feng Tianwei. Great receive. You could see Samara was very surprised to have it back in the backhand after that first serve. Reverse
Fantastic
pendulum.
follow-up too. I mean, just first softed topspin into the body, saw that it caught Samara off guard, and then immediately stepped towards the table and put a weight into the second forehand topspin. Fantastic to watch. Feng Tianwei firmly in control of this match. I mean, look at this, 6-3 now.
And that was the deception again with the little pull from the wrist to give it some topspin. Watch right here. Was that the last point?
Caught me there.
It caught me off guard a little bit. Thought I saw something else, but it's now that's 5 points in a row for Feng Tianwei. Good time for a timeout for the Romanian team. Samara needs to do something. She started strong, and Feng just showing her prowess and experience out here. Really good play, always ready, as you said, resilient, short strokes, quick to recover, quick to get back, even against attacks. Different placement from Samara. Nothing is really working for Samara right now to distract the focus of Feng.
Yeah, and let's come back to the issue of timeout once again. Why do it now? Why not do it when Elizabeta Samara was leading and slowly but surely lost her lead? Once again, just showing the different mindsets here. Right, passive timeout versus active timeout, offensive versus defensive timeout.
You were saying the European coaches tend to do the defensive timeouts?
More often than not, they do.
Passive timeout versus active, right.
6-3.
Tough serve, very low. Going to be a very hard ball to banana flip from there. Nice placement by Feng. Again, placement is everything for her.
Yeah, that came back somehow.
Great patience. A lot of players think the point's over when it hits the edge of the paddle. Sometimes a chow or a scream or a celebration. Samara knew there was a chance and stuck with it and then just hit the ball off into another dimension. What a backhand. That is the backhand we saw earlier in the first match for Samara that was detrimental, just too intimidating for the opponent. And even with the patience and consistency of Feng, too much pace and spin on that ball, catching the edge of the racket.
Now this is a very crucial point here for both players. 6-7 feels so much different than 5-8 and being confronted with elimination.
7-5.
A lot of pressure to receive that serve and do something good with it. Tried to keep it short. Not a bad idea, but very good service placement, keeping it nice and low and deceptive spin from Feng.
Samara usually scores with this backhand flick, and why not attempt it there? Why try the forehand flick? And now the backhand fails her as well.
Seemed like the timeout was working well. Nice little run, but things have turned and now it's a 4-point lead. Feng getting very close to closing out this entire overall match. The backhand again, rocket, happened to go on the table this time. Let's see if Samara can keep her cool and employ that backhand once again. Nice service placement, tough to read the spin. Not very often you're going to get Feng to miss a receive like that.
Two points to go for Feng Tianwei, 2 points for Singapore. And we have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is for the medal. The winner of this match will at least receive a third-place bronze medal for the World Team Championships. And it looks like it'll be Singapore, led by Feng Tianwei. Can she really defeat two opponents in this team setup once again?
Excellent fearless backhand from a step or two off the table. Samara still hanging in there. Down by 2, the players will towel off. And Samara will have the last 2 serves in a row that we will see this game. Excellent serve, heavy underspin on the reverse pendulum. And very nice deception from Samara as well. Both players using whatever they can to fool the opponent on the serve, and the timeout is called by Singapore. It appeared to be a player timeout rather than the coach making the call.
That is just experience working for you. Interesting decision, very bold move, especially from Elizabeta Samara, going for that high-risk serve. It paid off, always nice when risk pays off.
It wouldn't surprise me to see a similar serve a little bit more to the middle of the table at this point. Short, heavy underspin. FENG has been pretty aggressive so far with her receives. Nice flip action. Haven't seen her do a lot of short-to-short balls. Taking good initiation. And I guess the Swedish at this point, Waldner would serve short with no spin, knowing that there's a lot of nerve and people are reacting to heavy spin, maybe popping the ball up, allowing for a great third ball attack.
Exactly, but what an amount of confidence you would have to attempt that. This is just an invitation for the opponent to score. But you're absolutely right, with the psychology of it, it could work. Let's see how cool Elizabeta Samara reacts to this pressure.
9, 10.
And it is over. The deal is sealed. FENG Tianwei, the ace in the hole, taking 2 singles matches, defeating Elizabeta Samara from Romania, a 3-0 win, and that is 3-1 for Singapore, who is advancing to the semifinals in the women's teams competition. Stick around, we'll have more matches for you. You are watching the 2014 Zenno World Teams Table Tennis Championships in Tokyo, Japan. I'm Adam Bobrow with Seb, and we are live at the Yoyogi National Gymnasium.
Thanks for watching. Tune in, as Adam said, for more action. We'll be back shortly with the next game.
Singapore.